Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Molly?
Good, I'm very good, thank you. How is
Good.
lockdown 3.0 treating you?
Oh Jesus. It's a weird one because I feel like I was talking to my parents the other day about this, which that's weird in itself. I'm back at home, which is not something that I've done for a few years.
Yeah,
But we were saying like this time it just feels normal. Like it doesn't feel like we're doing anything special anymore. Like I've got so used to just not going anywhere
yeah,
that it's nothing now. Like I don't want. I do want to go places clearly,
yeah.
but it's not that been that much of a shift this time. Especially being I'm back in the countryside, so there's nothing to do here anyway.
Where have you moved back to?
So I'm originally from just outside of Scarborough on the east coast, up in
Lovely.
sunny North Yorkshire. But yeah, so I'm usually in Birmingham, but I've been here pretty much since lockdown 2, which is a long time now.
Oh God. How are you getting on with work and stuff? Are you kind of waiting for anything to start again? Are you
Yeah,
working
I mean,
at the moment? What are you doing?
it's a strange one because I mean, obviously, theatre is a big part of what I work in, and theatre's dead in the ground at the moment. Hopefully, to be resurrected soon. But yeah, it's been difficult. But obviously, film and TV can carry on. Um, I'm at the moment preparing for. I've got a couple of Valentine's Day concerts to get ready for. Virtual concerts, which is cool with some like West End folk, which is nice. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I've just last week was a mad week for cell taping. Like I've just had like commercials and TV projects, so it's been exciting. It's
amazing.
just sort of it's just starting to come back into work mode, which is really nice finally because it's been ages of just waiting and sitting and waiting. So yeah.
Amazing. So that is kind of what I want to speak to you about today, actually. What
Mhm.
So you obviously do a lot of stage stuff and you do a lot
Yep.
of live theatre. What have
Yeah.
you found, especially like this year, what have you found the big differences to being stage and TV?
Well, the biggest thing in terms of being an actor and doing things on stage and TV is like the size of your performance because like I I started out doing film. That was my first thing that I did,
All right.
and so I kind of developed an acting style that was very small and very subtle, which is what film demands. But when you go on stage, like my first big stage thing was last year, like the beginning of last year, I did the UK tour of My Night with Reg, and
Wow.
my character, yeah, it was really fun. We did, but my character like has got a lot of intimate things to do and a lot of like small personal things to do with the characters without giving the entire story away. But yeah, so it was weird for me because I instantly went into okay, subtle and small performance, but you have to really like when you're in front of 500 people, you've got to project, and we didn't have microphones on that tour. That was a big part of like what to make it real.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I was having to like do these really intimate things and be really intimate with someone who is like
Hmm.
30 centimeters away from me and yet project to a room of 500 people, which is it's easier said than done. um, but I think you get used to it, and I think it becomes natural to then go on stage and have your stage voice and then go and do a film and have your film voice, and I just think you have to separate the two completely.
You,
Yeah, that would be the main difference.
yeah. Have you found it difficult to separate them? Because obviously it's kind of as an actor, there's not two separate jobs. Like you go in and you act, but obviously the setting and stuff is different. Have you found it hard to find that balance? Do you have like stage Alan, TV Alan, or do you?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think it's preparing yourself for the day and knowing that okay, today I'm not going to shout and today I am going to be quiet. But there is like I've done lots of things that are middle ground as well. Like you've got any sort of presenting work is that middle ground between you have to be clear and enunciate, but you're still quiet enough to be in a normal conversation. So anything presenting, like I've done a few like um I don't even know what you called them, like e-learning sort of films. I did one for the World Health Organization where it was like disaster control, and I was playing this Eastern European like taxi driver.
Brilliant.
But within that, obviously, it was set like a normal film would be,
Yeah.
but it was really important to make sure that what I was saying was coming across
Yeah.
very sort of linear and clear, so that the person learning could actually take in the info. So yeah, I think those jobs have helped sort of get a bit of a spectrum of like how to be on set, and you gauge it very much by like the vibe of everybody else and the vibe of the director, what they like. And yeah, it's a weird skill that you pick up just from doing stuff.
Yeah. It sounds cool. It sounds really
Yeah.
cool. So you said you started off in film. Did you find
Yeah.
it difficult to then move into theatre and then move back? Well, not back, but kind of do theatre
Yeah.
and film at the same time. How did you kind of get into that?
Yeah, I mean, I was very lucky when I got Reg, because I was lucky to get the audition, and then I just sort of had a really good day on the audition day, which is how it happens sometimes. But yeah, they worked with me a lot on like making me theatre ready. I
Yeah.
had done theatre at school and things like that, but yeah, that's school level. But so yeah, we did a lot of sessions where it was just like, Alan, speak up, more, and literally we were in dress rehearsal, and at the end it was just like they would go up to the top level of seating and just be like, can't hear you, can't hear you, and then so it's like beating the film out of you.
That's so funny because I'm the other way around. I trained in musical theatre and then went
Right, yeah.
And when I did the project before, we're going to talk about Wings in a minute, but I did the project before Wings, and Carlton used to be like, Molly, just calm down. Like,
Yeah.
so,
It's really difficult, but I think like I think it's about doing as much as you can in each thing, and try and like, while I was doing Reg, we were on tour for Reg. In between the tour dates, I was filming short films and I was doing little projects, so it was making me hop back and forth between the two, which was really it was hard, but it was really helpful to have that experience of having to be like, oh no, shove this aside and go into your small person, and then come back to being huge. So yeah,
that sounds so fun though, to be able to do both at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting. It's that thing that only actors get to do, where it's like we're doing random stuff from day to day, and it's like I'm an East European taxi driver one day, and I'm a little twink painting someone's conservatory on stage in front of 500 people the next.
Brilliant. I love that. Did you have fun on the tour? Was it a bit crazy? Was it?
It was mad. I mean, we're talking. This was January to March last year, so it was the time where Corona was like a thing, but no one really knew about it, and we actually had to cancel our final 2 dates, because one of our cast got really ill, and we assumed that he had Corona, although he didn't. But at the time, it was like, oh my god, no, we're all gonna die, and so it was very tense. And towards the end, obviously, when everything started amping up, it began to be a lot more sort of like, oh god, what do we actually do? But it was really fun. I've not been on tour before, so we went to some really nice places, got to just hang out, and I think the atmosphere on tour between everybody is always really nice. Like when you get to know people on a deeper level than you would, like you're sharing dressing rooms with different people on different dates, and rooming with people and having to muck in a way that you wouldn't necessarily have to do if you're in one place. But yeah, and the venues
amazing. So tell me about your experience on set. So when you came out of tour and theatre life and then kind of gone back into, obviously, like I said, self-tapes and commercials, TV, because that's the only thing that's going on, and how is that different now?
In a lot of ways it's not. I think like you build it up to be this massive thing where it's going to be a huge shift. It isn't really. It's just being, following the guidelines as closely as you possibly can, which in itself is really difficult. But when it comes down to life and death, really, and you want to make sure that everybody is safe, so it's important to just make that the priority. I did a Public Health England campaign, was my first job back after lockdown one. So it was, I think this was like June, late June, maybe early July. And I had to go down to London, which was a thing in itself because I didn't want to get public transport. So we ended up driving to London. And yeah, it was the first time. Obviously, we had temperature checks. We were all masked up and no one was allowed to touch anything. I was like, the costume lady was putting the costume on me while with my outstretched leg across the dressing room, like tying my shoelace and shit like that. So it was, yeah, it's different, but really, it's nothing that we shouldn't kind of already be doing. Like, there's no need to be that close to people. It's very different in a narrative film where it requires that closeness. That's a different story altogether. But the commercials I've been on, the World Health Organization thing I did, they were all so easy to do, really. Like you didn't realize how easy it would be to just distance yourself from everybody.
Yeah.
And it's nice to when you get a company that feel like they have it worked out. They know exactly how to keep everybody safe and they follow it. It's scary before you do it, but whilst you're doing it, I think you tend to sort of just adapt really quickly. Yeah.
That's so good though, that like it's like sorted and you're all fine. And
Mm.
so you mentioned that doing a narrative story is completely different, and that is what you did for
Yeah.
us just before Christmas.
Mhm.
So what was your experience like on the set of Wings? What was going on as soon as you got there? What happened?
So it was a bit of a jam-packed day. I think Carlton had, like, obviously because of having to have these regulations, it was important to have as little amount of time as possible there. So yeah, I arrived, I think it was about 9 in Liverpool. I got up at like a ridiculous time to get there, but yeah, it was very like we had a place where we could sit that had enough space to be socially distanced from each other, masks on whilst we were in there, and the set itself. So I worked in the bedroom. I think only in the bedroom that day. Um, so it was closed to everybody but the essentials, which is exactly what you need. And yeah, I think it's about obviously we had our temperature checks, which is important, and there's a certain amount of risk in going close to the other actors,
Yeah.
and there was 2 actors, Jenny and Ray, who I was close to during the day, but it's unavoidable.
Mm.
So it's about, I guess, just doing as much as you possibly can
Yeah.
to, constantly be washing your hands,
Yeah.
wiping down bodies in this circumstance, and making sure that whenever you're not filming, you can move away from anyone. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because there is an inherent risk in going close to anybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, none of these sorts of things could happen if we didn't have that closeness. So it's one of those where, as long as nobody's had any symptoms in the last 7 days or whatever,
Yeah.
that you can be confident that you personally don't have it.
Yeah.
And obviously you're having your temperature checked when you get there, so there's that as well.
Yeah.
And then it's just that little tiny 0.001% of risk that you're taking. But you're taking that when you go on the bus, you're taking that when you go on the train, you're taking that in work. So
Yeah.
it happens everywhere.
Every single day, people go to work. Like I have friends
Yeah.
at banks and schools and stuff, and they're the same. Like they do the temperature check and they do all of these things, but there's still that tiny little bit of risk where, like, one of my friends is a school teacher, and she works with primary school children. Like, how are you going to tell a 4-year-old that they can't sit next to you? Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody
exactly.
has that something about their job that makes it.
Like going shopping, in a way, is more risky than shooting a film like this, because you don't go shopping and have your temperature checked, and you can't guarantee everyone's wearing a mask and that no one's going to go past you. Whereas here, at least everyone's trying, which I think is is the major difference.
Yeah, definitely. So talk to me about your character in Wings. What, without giving too much away, what can you tell us about Sam?
Sam. Well, I won't give too much away because I don't typically like. Sam's not in an awful lot of the story. He's very much a supporting character. But I don't like go through and comb through the rest of the script because I think, particularly for Sam, actually, if I had done that, it would have given him far too much knowledge.
Right.
He's very naive and innocent, and to the deeper level of the story.
Yeah.
So I think it was important to give him a sort of outsider's look at the film.
Oh, I love.
Uh, yeah, I think it differs from character to character, but with supporting characters, generally they're not privy to all of the information in the film. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to go in. I mean, I've read it since, but I didn't want to go in knowing what was going to happen to Ray's character next, or knowing what was going to happen to what had already happened to Ray.
Yeah.
Well, Nate. We'll call him Nate now. Yeah. So Sam is the brother of a prostitute who Nate visits, and yeah, I mean he has Sam's gay, and Sam has a bit of a crush on Nate, we'll say, a soft spot, and that kind of carries on throughout. He's there as a kind of innocent bystander
Yeah.
who's just there because he thinks Nate's cute, which is nice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's so nice, especially in such a it's a heavy film,
Yeah.
and it's nice to have that little bit of innocence in it, I suppose. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's not 100% innocent. Like, he definitely comes from the same world as at least his sister. But in the context of this film, he is the innocent, I suppose.
yeah, he's kind of like the balance between.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, I suppose, why he doesn't get involved in everything, because that would ruin him.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him, and I've not even seen any of the trailer bits. So when you guys are finishing up, and obviously like after lockdown, and we
Yeah.
finish everything and get it sorted, do you think it will be different when we get back onto set, if things are a little bit safer, a little bit, I mean, like you say, like everything's as safe as it can be at the moment, but when there isn't that kind of thought in the back of your mind, like, is this okay?
Yeah. I think the camaraderie comes, well, not that the camaraderie hasn't been there already, but like you get more of a sense of like fun. I think the fun is maybe sapped out a little bit by thinking, oh God, I need to do this and this and this. So the sort of let loose nature of being on set sometimes is lost, but that would be nice to get back. It's just a shame we shot what we shot while we were stressed rather than the other way around. Because letting loose is kind of a necessary thing when you're sort of not fully clothed.
Ooh, I love the little like
just
tidbits.
tidbits.
I love it. Amazing. So are you, final question, I'm excited for it to be done and ready and out there and ready for the world to see it. Is this something you want everyone to see?
Yeah, of course. It's been interesting for me. I have never done a Liverpool accent before, so that's a thing.
Ooh.
I've not had to do a particular scene like the particular scene we've shot before, so that was interesting. And it'll be nice to see everybody else's parts, because I don't come into contact with many of the cast when I'm on set. I'm only really there with Jenny, Ray, and a couple of others later on that we'll do obviously after lockdown. But there's a whole sort of 15 people that I will have never even met really. So it will be lovely to like see them in action and like get the full experience of the film, which I think is going to be really cool.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today.
Thank you.
Having a little chat.
Chinwag.
Hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah, you too, Molly. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.